Huzangpo and a very warm welcome to our weekly news magazine program, Bhutan This Week. I am Damchazam. Our top stories this week. His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Galton received a group of children offering yellow wishes. Police say the cause of Chamkar fire accidental. And Central Bank approves private money lending up to 500,000 Nyatam. His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Galton received a group of children offering yellow wishes at the Linkana Palace. The children who visit homes and sing Lole, a traditional verse of good wishes for the family on the New Year, are welcomed to Linkana Palace every year on Nilo.
A group of children offered Nilo wishes to His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Galton at the Linkana Palace. This year, the children were able to offer their wishes for the first time to His Royal Highness the Galse. Their Majesties granted Sera to the children. Nilo is celebrated as New Year in Western Bhutan and signifies the time of year after which the days begin to get longer. Meanwhile, 16 young boys and girls went from door to door in Babisa last night singing Lole.
Lole di mapa thangaragi phamdisule kodozumchi bewaching hachira the lochip digi the lochuta to leni the chachu thisu phamnigi tenlo inse anibe khoina
darenga lole jami de lam lukchen dazin tamni ki jamila.
The tradition of Lole was there from olden days. Children used to go to every household singing Lole. In return, the owner would give money, rice, meat and other items to the children. The children would take everything they have collected and go for a picnic the next day. Meanwhile, the government offices and institutions across the country remains closed to observe Nilo. Sringzam, BBS News.
His Majesty the King met with the victims of the recent fire disaster in Bomtang and granted Semso. The fire on 28th December was brought under control before the town was engulfed in flames.
Meeting His Majesty the King brings a sense of togetherness and assurance among the victims and their families. Many lost everything. During the audience, the Prime Minister was also present. The ultimate source of happiness is the love, care and support from the throne that continues to light the way during difficult times like this. Over a span of just 6 years, the town saw 4 major fire disasters that nearly wiped out the town.
Nada rimbochida kenchudi chora tebe nogobdi ngachi durmi garage te samcha debera onsi nomela kajimo sewachin dariben darimesin darira jen nababen nabara jendi yutugi sagi shidigi ani sumgi gekhabde na katea matrose shunila
sem khati da mabade na anebe kara thedel hala so besimle sagi de lamela landora dena me nada rimbochi na Jen besimle de ngachlokido anebe na besimle de semnami kai seshuna.
His Majesty the King was in Bomtang since 29th December after the disaster. For Sujaman Thapa in Bomtang, this is Tanin Finso for BBS News.
Wamrong town and nearby areas in Tashigang are all prepared to deal with the fire disasters. Some 23 fire hydrants along with hosepipes are installed in the area along with fire extinguishers in every household. These services came up after the fire in October 2009 which gutted half of the town.
Fire hydrant like this one was installed in the town and other areas in 2010. Today, firefighters can tap into a water supply easily.
Unlike in the past, we feel much safer now. It is all because of His Majesty the King, who granted us firefighting facilities. Today, we can sleep in peace. If there is a fire outbreak, we have fire hydrants nearby to control the fire.
After installing the fire hydrants, the main town, Wamrung Lower Secondary School, Dunkak Office, Police Office and nearby villages are safe from fire disasters.
Over 3 million Newton was spent to construct water tank and the firefighting facilities. The same tank also supplies drinking water.
Our main problem is we have only one tank reserved for water. If we have separate tank for firefighting purpose, it will be much better.
Though it is always monitored by the police, the Dunkak administration is also looking for a separate water tank. The fire in October 2009 displaced 26 families in Wamrong. 12 houses were razed to the ground. It was caused by an electric short circuit. For Sonam Dargi in Kanglung, Dojjama BBS News.
The business community in Gelifu wants the government to make Gelifu an entry point for the regional tourists to boost their business. A request was made to the Economic Affairs Minister.
The business community requested the Economic Affairs Minister to find ways to allow regional tourists to enter through Gelifu. Currently, regional tourists are allowed to enter only through Pinsoling. According to the business community, most hotels in Gelifu remain empty during the summer.
Hotel Jakachabazin and a Tomgara one line and I go to Chabala 33 hotel rooms. They meet the Gami. They meet the Midiachi, Timbulama Omidus Bosin, Sakatoslama Nata Omidison, Nam Gunjirel. The Nam Jardin, we have to entirely depend on visitors from outside Isan Din. In
response, the Economic Affairs Minister, Leki Doji, said the issue would soon be resolved with the adoption of regional tourism policy, where online permits for regional tourists can be issued.
Tourists having to have a online permit before they enter, and in that online permit we basically have three things. First is, of course, that the tourists have to have a hotel before they come where they would be staying, and of course the other thing is they also have to have a ground handler within Bhutan, like who would take care of their logistics, like transport. And another thing is they should have a proper guide, so a licensed tourist, a licensed guide. So with these three in place, I think we have no problem for the regional tourists entering from Gelifu.
Meanwhile, the minister briefed the gathering on the economic development policy that the government has adopted and development of 756 acres of industrial park at Jimiling. For Karmawandi in Gelifu, Shinzam, BBS News.
If the proposed waste collection tariff by Thimphu Thomde comes through, it will help the office generate a revenue of 18 million Nyatum annually. The Thomde had put up the proposal to the Finance Ministry in 2014. However, it was sent back due to some discrepancies.
In this reworked proposal, Thimphu Thomde has proposed for a monthly waste collection tariff of Newton 50 for every household falling under its boundary. For institution, it is 200 Newton, while for commercial areas, the monthly tariff will be levied depending on its size.
We checked how many households are there in the city, how many institutional, how many hotels, and we came up with some tariff, like 50 rupees for a household. And then we came up with almost a revenue generation of about 18 million a year, which was going to meet our expenses on running all these 20 trucks and paying the driver, paying the khalasis.
While reviewing the waste collection tariff, both Finance and Works and Human Settlement Ministries found there were no details of the rate but just the collectible revenue. The Finance Ministry also noted the rates and basis for its computation were different from other Thomdes in the country.
We felt it was not appropriate because we are in the capital, we have 150,000 and the rest other Thomdes are much smaller, and the current 3 Thomdes are bordering Indian states, and they have much or even easier or cheaper labor force down there.
The Thomde will now have to submit the waste collection tariff proposal to the Works and Human Settlement Ministry. Sangisha Zom for BBS News.
From April this year, a private money lender can lend up to 500,000 nyatam to a single borrower. However, the lender will first have to obtain a license and register with the central bank for doing business.
As posted on the website of the Royal Monetary Authority, the Private Money Lending Rules and Regulations 2016 is expected to regulate private money lending business, minimize threat to financial system, and enhance the effectiveness of monetary policy and management. It is also to prevent related litigations and adverse socio-economic consequences arising thereof. The interest rate on the borrowings will be specified as per the loan contract document, but will not exceed 15% per annum. If it exceeds the ceiling, the contract becomes invalid and the concerned authorized private money lender will get back only the principal amount. The Private Money Lending Rules and Regulations 2016 also states a borrower cannot take multiple loans by pledging the same security. On the other hand, as per the rule, anyone wishing to lend up to 90,000 will not have to obtain a registration certificate from the central bank. The Royal Monetary Authority and the Supreme Court jointly drafted the rules and was approved on 29th December last year. This is Passa for BBS News.
Schools across the country may consider 5.5 years as an entry age for pre-primary admission depending on space availability, but the Education Ministry advises schools to strictly comply with 6 years as an entry age.
As per the Education Policy Guidelines and Instructions 2012, every child who has attained the age of 6 at the start of the academic session shall be entitled for admission into pre-primary class. The Deputy Program Officer of the Education Ministry said the decision to maintain pre-primary entry age at 6 is backed by research findings.
In the later stage, if the child is admitted at early age, in the later stage, a child finds difficulty in adapting to the need of the curriculum. And at the age of 6, the researchers has found out that the child perform well in the later stage. So even if you look at the internationally best educational practices, the child's enter into the school at the age of 6.
The decision to reconsider the entry age for admission to 5.5 years was taken after schools and parents raised concerns. When a child attends 5 years and completes 6 months, it is considered as 5.5 years.
In 10th 5-year plan, when ministry focused more on the education to the doorstep, we opened so many schools, and generally it was felt that most of the classrooms were empty. If you look at the demographic, the population demographic of our country, it has been stabilized, and the number of children attaining the admission age has stabilized, and then we have more number of schools, and that's why there are some schools where they can accommodate enough students. That's why there was a reconsideration of the age to 5.5.
The admission age will, however, be kept as 6 years if the schools do not have enough space to accommodate. Sunampem for BBS News.
It is mandatory that birth dates reflected in an individual's citizenship identity card and academic certificates are consistent while registering for the Bhutan Civil Service examination. However, according to the Royal Civil Service Commission, not many are mindful of it, and this often results in delay in registration process.
Recently, while registering for the civil service examination for graduates with bachelor's in education, there was some mismatch in date of birth of around 160 graduates. The RCSC officials said they come across such inconsistency almost every year while verifying documents.
While verifying my documents to sit for the entrance examination, I found out that my birth dates in class 10 and 12 certificates were different. I was asked to get it changed from the Bhutan Council for School Examinations and Assessment.
verification na jodalo annalo ya kongi verification de bemi chuve sushun lobin chusam je dubde gi lakhana yimi keu da gi tar disda tele ngoto lakhana yimi dimi juwe wala te ani ngacha asylum sonal thoki bajuda.
My date of birth in my class 10 certificate and the one in my citizenship identity cards are different. I had to change it, and to do so, I had to go to the Bhutan Council for School Examinations and Assessment.
The
date of birth of my class 10 result and the date of birth in class 12 result were totally different. And when we go for verification in RCAC, they want us to change our date of birth. Then we went to Big C to change our date of birth, in which we paid 600 niltrum per paper.
For the correction process, a candidate has to pay 600 newton per certificate to the Bhutan Council for School Examinations and Assessment. The RCSC said the birth date of those joining the civil service needs to be consistent, as it will be the basis for long-term training, superannuation and retirement benefits in future. Sonam Chodhan BBS News.
If you are a driver looking for a company or a passenger who needs to get somewhere, it will not be so difficult now. Mobile app called Ride Sharing will help you. Drivers and passengers alike can use the app to look for people or cars traveling to the same destination. The app was launched recently.
24-year-old Sewang Rinzin is the man behind this new app. Just by downloading the new app, passengers will no longer have to wait to hitch a ride. Ride-sharing app will enable drivers to offer rides and the passengers to choose their rides online. It will allow long-distance travelers to share car rides.
The app will provide the list of rides available towards the passengers' direction. So after the passengers can view the ride details and check for some ride information such as the departure time, arrival time, the luggage size, and so many things. There are so many preferences in the app which the passengers could check. The passengers could also look for the driver's ratings and reviews.
Once the ride request is accepted by the driver can also check the passenger's details. It took over a month to come up with this new app.
Driver can choose to accept the passenger to be taken with to travel together with him. After the driver accepts, the passenger has to confirm the booking. So after the passenger confirms, then driver would see now that the passenger is booked with him. So after the ride is being booked, only then our app would give the phone numbers of a driver to particular passenger so that they can communicate with each other using SMS or call, or even we have some messaging features that the driver and passenger can use to chat.
Similarly, another mobile app called Bhutanese Movie Database app was also launched. The app will allow the viewers to rate and book movie tickets online. The apps are the winners of this year's Open Mobile Phone App Development Competition. It was organized by the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation in collaboration with Gross National Happiness Commission and Government to Citizen Office.
This is Sonam Choden for BBS News.
Sarpong will be home to the country's first cricket ground meeting international standards. Its construction works are in full swing and is expected to be complete by end of this year.
The project is in its first phase of construction, which includes preparation of the ground and drainage system. It is being constructed in an area covering almost 4 acres of land in Tashicholing Demkong under Gelfu Thomde. For cricket enthusiasts, the upcoming international standard ground will help improve their gameplay and familiarize them to playing on a professional cricket ground.
Atara do rugs win the ball the super customer pan bin the yality kaira ground plane bay albin hasiru nafsi phe news shunila
chedem padi sunga chidu kam nom dalu te khonlu.
When international teams come here for a match, we will be able to compete better. Also, for upcoming players, it is advantageous to have a home ground. Ultimately, both the Bhutan Cricket Council Board and cricket enthusiasts will improve.
The head coach of Bhutan Cricket Council Board said the facility will have positive impacts on not just the players, but overall development of the sport in the country.
Within next 5 years, I think cricket is going to grow like anything, and especially we expect parents. Now parents are also supporting us to, to promote cricket with their kids. So that is a positive, impact to us. So maybe in next 5 years, I think cricket will be different, especially when the facility comes up.
A few neighboring cricket-playing countries and Asia Cup is funding the first phase of the project, which is worth 10 million yutam. For Karmongdi in Gelifu, Dojidema, BBS News.
40 best footballers were selected during the 10-day U17 and U15 football championship for the girls in Gelifu. Each category will have 20 players. A total of 600 girls from 20 zonghak participated in the event.
The girls are selected for senior and junior national players. Teams from 20 zonghak competed in the championship in Gelifu. And those with speed, better technical and tactical skills made it through to the final 40. Event like this is a gateway to professional footballing career for young football enthusiasts.
I will try to get selected in the national team selection next year. I would represent my zonghak and make my zonghak popular. Football is everything for me.
Football is my ambition. I enjoy football very much. It is not only boys who can play football, but girls can too.
I enjoy playing football with my friends, and there is scope in the future. If we are not able to excel in studies, we can always pursue career in football like Senju Galton and can also become a coach.
The Gelifu Football Academy will train these 40 players beginning this academic session. For Karmawangdi in Gelifu, this is Tanin Finso for BBS News.
Well, that's all we have for you this week. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.